I'm Sharma Jain from Department of English, Section B. Here I'm going to tell about the learning disabilities and children with special needs. Learning disability. Learning disability is a neurological condition where a child faces difficulties doing the basic functions such as reading, writing, listening, speaking, solving numerical, and they won't be able to think logically. So this affects the brain to send, receive and take information. So the cause of these difficulty is mainly dysfunction in the language area of the brain. So this learning disability, children or those they suffer from serious learning disability. Children they exhibit their natural inferior qualities and capacities in terms of learning or understanding in comparison to the normal children of their age or class. The learning disabled is nothing but a sort of helplessness they felt by the sufferer in accordance with the academic performance. Definition of learning disability. So here are two definitions given by the Association for Children with Learning Disabilities and KIRK. Next we are going to see about the nature and characteristics of learning disability. So there are some certain important characteristics of learning disabled children. They are the learning disabled children, they essentially suffer from serious learning problems, and their problem they are usually manifested by significant difficulties like reading, writing and maths ability and social skills, and they may exhibit symptoms of being overactive. Then most of them they may suffer from emotional problems and they demonstrate signs of anxiety, moodiness or ups and downs in their behavior, and they cannot be apparent in their physical behavior and in IQ scores, but they may have a robust body, good vision and everything will be correct. But then a certain learning disability. They face lots of problems in their daily life, and they can use for learning characteristics. Their responsible is like they won't be having lack of motivation, they will be inattention, they are unable to generalize, and there will be lack of adequate ability in problem solving. So the causes for learning disability. The factors which cause learning disability are genetic and hereditary factors, organic factors and environmental factors. So genetic factors which come from generation to generation like emotional impulses, and the organic factor is due to minimal brain dysfunction, so premature birth or a cerebral hemorrhage, and the cerebral disease is due to high fever, head injury when the child is in the fetus form. And environmental factors, it's like physical, social, cultural and psychological which have traits as cause of learning disabilities. So there are certain types of learning disability like dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, dyspraxia, dysphasia or aphasia, and auditory and visual processing abilities. So dyslexia comes under reading difficulty, dyscalculia, diminished arithmetic ability, writing difficulty in dysgraphia, and dyspraxia, a certain coordination between difference in mind and motor skills, and dysphasia, language difficulty, and auditory visual processing difficulties like sensory disabilities. So we are going to see in detail about it. Dyslexia. So dyslexia and people with dyslexia they face problems in reading, like they hesitate and they read with a lot of effort. So reading is a challenging task in them. So they fail to comprehend the meaning. They won't be able to read properly. The phonetic reading problem is very common, and they face difficulty when they try to combine letters. They won't be able to combine letters to make a words. And common symptoms is difficulty reading, speed sounds, slow reading and writing, problems with spelling. Dysgraphia. Dysgraphia is writing skills and other similar activities also. They show difference in their oral and writing skills. So their oral skills are better than their writing skills. They will be just confused with the letters like B, D, P, Q, N, U, and difficulty in forming letters while writing, and they won't be able to express themselves. And these are the way they just grasp their pens or pens. Dyscalculia. Dyscalculia, from the word calculia, we could identify it as the maths. So it's associated with the math skills. So even basic maths is done incorrectly and slow by learners with this disability. And these learners, they fail to understand the sequence, the steps. So simple arithmetic problems also they won't be able to gain in their brain. They generally forget the steps of sequence suggested by the teacher, the problem, symbols and other such concepts. Dyspraxia. So dyspraxia is disorder associated with the motor nerve control, and the child faces difficulty in coordinating the various fine motor skills. So it affects the outcome of work done in the classroom. Difficulty in creating clear communication between the body and the brain, and they won't be able to hold a pencil, so they will be having a difficulty and which requires hand and eye coordination. Dysphasia, which is also called aphasia, so it's associated with the difficulties of language and communication skills. So here a child faces problems in spoken language and sounds and words. So such children, they fail to communicate the correct version of their understanding of what they want to convey. So they have language learning disorder in which they find it hard to understand words, meanings, and they will be not able to follow directions and so on. Then children with special needs. So children with special needs can be classified into two, like physically challenged and mentally retarded people. So physically challenged can say the children with physical disabilities, they have locomotor problems, or like it is related to muscles and joints of the body, which affect the mobility of the limbs and extremities. The students with such impairment, they find difficulty in attempting those learning activities which needs a physical movement. So though they possess learning capability similar to other children, they may have some specific problems in learning. Mentally retarded children, mentally challenged, earlier it was called as mentally challenged, and later it gave the name as mentally retarded children or exceptional children. So the performance of the student with low mental ability is less than the performance of the normal students, and they may not have any physical problem, but they are poorly adjusted in the classroom. They'll be having some problems in their dysfunction in the brain, so that they won't be able to grasp everything easily. So the low mental ability student, they display poor academic achievement will be there, and they forget what he or she has learned, and they after a short time is inattentive, and they get within a short time they get distracted, and they show too much reliance on presentation of concrete objects, and they seek immediate reward, and they display fear of failure will be there, and they have self-image, poor self-image is there. Thank you.